Hey everyone, Eric Thompson here, and as always, hope that you are doing well. Welcome back to the channel this evening. Of course, I always say that, but it could be day when you're watching this. On this occasion, we are considering a AFI Top 100 number 89, okay? Our first horror suspense film of the review, M. Night Shyamalan's, I rehearsed that many times, was a Shyamalan. The first A is in bad. Shyamalan. 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 I want to say Shyamalan. Shyamalan. That's hard. M. Night Shyamalan. The Sixth Sense. If you've seen this movie, then you will appreciate how delicate it is for me to describe the plot. Suffice to say, a child has gifts, and a child psychologist, a very renowned one in fact, comes to help him, the child, through anxieties and difficulties surrounding his perceptions. Why is this movie on the AFI Top 100? Well, I'll be honest with you. I really like this movie, okay? Tori and I watched it the other night, and I hadn't seen it in a few years. And so it was great to watch it again. Very suspenseful, exciting, definitely a worthy psychological horror, okay? But I don't know that I feel this movie should be on the AFI Top 100, okay? To begin with, I think The Shining is a better example of a psychological thriller, and perhaps Silence of the Lambs is as well, but Silence of the Lambs is quite a ways up the AFI Top 100 as you can imagine. And yet, The Sixth Sense not only has incredible cultural relevance from the famous tagline, which you recall, no doubt, but I'm not gonna earn the spoiler alert this time, okay? Beyond that, it's also a capture of M. Night Shyamalan's career. The Sixth Sense, by far, his most successful movie, okay? The next most successful is Signs, which is awesome. I would say better than The Sixth Sense. That's my impression. And then after that, I think it's Stuart Little. He's just trying something new, Stuart Little. And so I think that The Sixth Sense is important because it captures him as a director and a writer. And even though his last few films have not done so well, Lady in the Water, of course, was sort of the descent. And you had Lady in the Water and The Happening and The Last Airbender and all of that. But, Sixth Sense, Signs, The Village, wow. And so his top film, deserves to be on this list because it's a statement about his talent as a director and a writer. But as far as a psychological thriller, I think they could have chosen otherwise. And so that's why I think it is on here, even though I think that it shouldn't be. Is it relevant for today? Absolutely it's relevant for today. Again, because it shows us where his talent was and where it's gone, where he's come to, okay? I think it's also relevant because it sort of gives us an inside look into what could have been the rest of his career. I don't know if you know this. He's had many brushes with fame, and he was originally going to be tied to the first Harry Potter film. Did you know that? Possibly as a writer, possibly as a director. And then again in 2006, he was going to work with Steven Spielberg, but he was filming for the fourth Indiana Jones film, if you recall. But he was filming Unbreakable, or 2006, I guess. 2006, somewhere in there, 0506. And so he's had all of these almost opportunities to work with the big names, right? But he's almost always been left to himself, to his own inventions, to create. And I think that makes this film really super relevant for today because that's the growing trend in filmmaking, okay? Even though studios have incredible power and influence over directors and artists, we're still seeing directors and writers who are so strong and their talents so great that they're almost given free reign of a project, okay? I'm thinking especially, of course, about Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks in his directorial roles. I mean, they just give him the whole thing. They just say, you have this much money, don't go over and have fun and make us some cash, you know? James Cameron, of course, pretty much builds the battlefield, then wages his war. That's how he works, okay? Over and over again, you see this as a trend. People like Hans Zimmer, especially Tim Burton. Wow, another excellent example of someone who is going to do it his way, to his vision. And then they accept the results, as I'm sure Shyamalan has had to accept the results with his films that have done well and not so well. This movie brings up a lot of spiritual issues, okay? Beyond the paranormal, even though most of it, of course, is the paranormal psychological horror genre. I'll talk about two things quickly. One, we know from his films that there's a twist at the end. And if you saw The Sixth Sense, you might have suspected in Signs there was going to be a twist. And if you saw The Sixth Sense and Signs, you suspected there might be a twist at the end of The Village, so on and so forth, right? Now, this, like life, this is like life, you know, where we sort of suspect there will be a twist just around the corner. Something's going to happen. I'm sure you've had that moment when you feel something is afoot. Something's going to happen. A change is going to be made. When, where, how, who? Well, who knows? But it's coming. Changes and twists in life are going to come. I know some people who are just plain anxious about even the most simple change in routine and behavior, very anxious, very agitated. They just don't deal with change well. They definitely do not deal with twists in life. And then there are others who seem to go more with the flow, you know, who seem to receive these things a bit more gracefully than others, perhaps. Who do you think you are? You're in between, on one side or the other. That's for you to decide. Two, I'm going to come back around to that, I promise. J.R.R. Tolkien, the master of language that he was, of course, writing Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and so forth, invented a word, and the word is eucatastrophe. And eucatastrophe, he wrote to describe, well, what's a catastrophe? Something that goes terribly wrong, right? And he meant eucatastrophe to mean something that seemed to go wrong, that suddenly turned for the good. And the twist in life can seem that way. The twist comes and it seems like an epic fail. That's what the kids say. Or like a failure, or destruction, or whatever it is, like a catastrophe. But then suddenly it changes, and it's a eucatastrophe. And what seemed to be an end becomes a beginning. The eucatastrophe of all time, the greatest one of all time, is of course the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it's right there in the title. Jesus dies and then rises to new life. It seemed the greatest catastrophe of all, that people who loved him would kill him. Okay, it's a general statement. Okay, I don't need the theologians tearing up the comment section below. Thank you. But you know what I mean. The people of earth, whom God created, would kill the living God, the Son of the living God. Catastrophe. What to do? And then, 3 days later, Jesus rises from the dead. Now, there's no way to perceive what these twists and changes in life will be. But what we can do is wait on the Lord and trust. Sort of like we trust that twists will come in film. It's not the strongest connection, okay? I'll give you that. But think, you know it's going to come. The twist is coming. What we don't know is whether the twist is going to be good or bad. For example, you've probably seen films in which the twist, the change was satisfactory. I just want to reference again You've Got Mail, because it's easy, right? There's no twist at the end. But the whole movie, you're waiting for them to get together. Finally they do. The story is resolved. The dog is pulling on his coat to get at the dog treat inside. The credits roll. You throw the popcorn away, recycle the water bottle, and you're out of there, right? Sometimes the twist is not so pleasing. Sometimes it complicates things. If you've seen The Village, you know what I'm talking about. Because it takes everything that you just saw and turns it upside down. What a topsy-turvy, crazy twist that was. And so what are we to do? Will the twists in life be complementary, or will they be aggravating? Are they going to resolve the parts of our lives that we need resolved, or are they going to agitate us and frustrate us even more? Well, there's no way to know, but there is something we can do. Trust in the Lord. Trust in God. Follow God. Once again, my baseline, okay, for all things spiritual, especially in Christian theology, is the book of the Psalms. Psalm 27:14, wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Psalm 33:20, our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. Psalm 37, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of anyone else. Wait for the Lord. Waiting. We wait in films for those final moments to come, and when they do, sometimes they satisfy, sometimes they frustrate, sometimes we say, what do you mean this is the first movie in a trilogy? How dare you? It's very frustrating. In life, changes come. Sometimes we see it coming, like in an M. Night Shyamalan film, we see it coming. And we hold on, embrace it, whatever it is. Spiritual life, so much of the same. What do they say? The road from earth to heaven is never in a straight line, or God doesn't draw in straight lines, right? It's a journey we take together. Just like any honest journey or adventure, you go into it expecting pitfalls and challenges. Do not be discouraged, wait for the Lord. And remember that even if in life we confront catastrophe, God, through his infinite love, can turn a catastrophe into a eucatastrophe. He could turn what we thought would be destruction into resurrection. He thought what we think of as being damning, he can turn it into freedom. Okay? What we think of as being hurtful can actually be helpful, even if not in that moment. It took Jesus 3 days. Sometimes it takes us 3 days too, or 3 months, or 3 years, or what feels like 3 lifetimes. Awesome movie, though. I want to just make that clear. Even though I just don't think it has a proper place on this list, still a tremendous film. Wow. It has my recommendation. And I appreciate you clicking over and watching this thing, okay? As always, like and subscribe if you care to. Down below in the description below, is a playlist for all the videos. You can go check that out, and some other fun little things that are happening on the channel. I'm really pleased with how things are going. 89, so we're at a pretty good pace. The next few, like I've said before, should come out pretty quickly. And so I'm very, very glad, as always, to share with you, and amazed that you guys click on over and watch as you do. So thank you so much for that, and I really do truly hope you're doing well. Please leave me a comment or kick me a message if you want to see something else with the channel besides just the AFI Top 100 review. Tori and I are trying to figure out something else to do, baby related. Right now we're just waiting for that next ultrasound to happen in about 20 weeks, and then we should know much more about the baby. Oh yes, and I should say this because it's probably the most asked question I get. We are not going to find out the sex of the baby. until he or she is born. And so there will be no spoilers, no spoiler alerts for that one, okay? She won't know, and I won't know. And so hopefully that answers some of you who have been asking. Okay. As always, truly thank you, and hope that you guys are doing so very well indeed. There's a snap. There's a hit. Take care.